Hi there, my name is Molly Billings, and I am one of the chemistry teachers and the environmental science teacher here at St. James. It's my third year here, my third teaching chemistry, my first teaching environmental science, and as well as teaching, I also coach cross country and I live in Onderdonk. I'm originally from Maine, but I went to college at the College of Worcester in Worcester, Ohio, and there I studied chemistry and I minored in environmental studies. And as soon as I figured out that I wanted to be a teacher, I started taking a handful of education classes. I graduated in 2017, and in the fall of 2017, I had a teaching fellowship in Idaho at a semester school called the Alzar School. And that was like such an awesome experience, and how I knew I definitely wanted to be a teacher. And unfortunately, that was only a semester. So in the spring of 2018, I didn't really have anything to do because I wouldn't be hired in the middle of the winter. So I backpacked half of the Appalachian Trail. And while I was backpacking, I was applying for jobs, interviewing, and Dr. Bronner, the head of the science department, reached out to me one day, and I went through with an interview. I was really drawn to St. James because of the community. I knew I really wanted to work at a boarding school because of my experiences at Elzar and because of my, at that point, 5 years of working at camp. So I knew I wanted to be part of an intentional community and knew that's where I wanted to live and work. So it's really awesome to have the support of everyone here. It's a dream. In terms of class, I will share my screen with you and show you a little bit of a PowerPoint. So this class is obviously an introduction to chemistry, and it is designed to get students ready for AP chemistry or introductory college chemistry, but I also understand that not all of your children are going to be chemists, and they don't all want to be chemists, and that's totally okay. So my main goal is to make connections to everyday life, especially make connections to the environment, because that's obviously something that I am passionate about, and I think that it is important. And I also really want students to be able to make good decisions and be able to weed through the constant input of information that they're getting, especially in this day and age. So one of the big things that I'll talk about later is critical thinking and making connections through reading. So these are the topics that we're going to cover. These are pulled mostly from the book, with the exception of safety, which obviously we need to go over before, especially the students that are here can really take part in any labs. And then the other thing that is added in by me is the very last one on the left column, compounds in PCPs, which stands for personal care products. We'll do a whole unit in the middle of the year just focused on ingredients that are in our shampoos and deodorants and perfumes. And then to wrap that up, the students will write a short paper and we will celebrate by making chapstick. The things in red are things that we have already done or currently working on. We're at Matter right now. And realistically, we will get to definitely ions in aqueous solutions and colligative properties. And with any luck, we will get to acids and bases and titrations. We didn't get there last year, but I think it was just because of the pandemic. My assignments are broken down into these 5 categories. We've got homework, labs, projects, assessments, and participation. So you'll notice that tests and quizzes are not on there. They're going to fall into assessments. And we are really trying to move away from the traditional, sit down, take this test in chemistry this year, which I'm super excited about. We're trying to make them more skills-based, deeper thinking, connections, their take-home to make it equitable across the virtual versus in-person students, so they have time to go home and think about it, but they're not necessarily things that they could Google. Also on this list, we've got homework, which is pretty self-explanatory, labs, which I will talk about more at the end, projects, which are presentations or perhaps you've already heard, but we're going to read a book called Napoleon's Buttons. So the things that they do for that will fall into projects and participation. I was definitely not the kid who was always raising my hand when I was in school, so I don't want to punish those kids. Participation is more just like, are you paying attention and on topic and not being a disruption? I am available Tuesdays and Thursdays after chapel during my free periods, which are A and D, and by appointment. So if those don't work for your students, they can send me an email and we can find a time. There's also an AP Chem prep program that we are, it's definitely in its infancy, but it's just giving those students who want to go on to AP Chem a little bit more practice. There are some things that we skip in this class that they're just going to need for AP Chem. So it's really not just like extra work that they need to do. It's stuff that they're really going to need to know and have a good grasp of before they go to AP Chem. That's something that we haven't really talked about in class yet because we haven't gotten to the first packet, but it will be something that's coming up soon. Lastly, I want to talk about labs really quick. These are the 2 labs that we have done and the next 2 labs that are coming. And this year is a little bit different. We definitely are needing to focus more on communication, which I don't think is a bad thing because there's always this, like, scientists don't know how to communicate, and that's definitely something that needs to be changed in the science community generally. So lots of labs are going to be like, they do the lab and then they have to show the rest of the class what happened. Like, it's going to be split up. So for the chemical and physical change lab, usually there are 14 stations that students go around to and do as many as they can in the class period. But this year, each student is going to get like 2 of those stations, and the online kids will be included on this because some of them are like ripping up paper. That's a physical change. So they're going to do it, and then they're going to do it again, but the second time they're going to record it so that everybody can see every station. So that is going to be more of an emphasis on, like, do you know exactly what you need to show from this experiment that you did? How can you best show it? How can you best display it? How can you make sure that the others see exactly what you were able to see? So just like relaying information is going to be really important this year. We're trying to figure out what's going to work best, so things are constantly changing. But right now, when I'm meeting on Teams with them, we might talk. I might share my screen. I might write on my computer so that people in person and online can take notes and follow along. If I am giving out a worksheet, I'll put that in the chat, and then later I'll put it on Blackboard so that everybody has access to it, even if they weren't there, and it's all just in one place. I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to tell you about. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Email is probably the best way to reach me. That's mbillings@stjames.edu. I'm sorry that you all couldn't be here, but I am glad I had this opportunity to tell you a little bit about chemistry this year.